What is something you dislike about your country? Neoliberal politics over the past 20-30 years have made many people more focused about themselves, at the expense of the collective. I'm not advocating for full-on socialism, but I do muse at the irony of admiring Scandinavian countries yet be unaware as to how well they care for the less fortunate. My home country has become more looking out for me and mine rather than we all deserve dignity and should do what we can to ensure it. And any call for it is often met with derision. There was a time when it was more like what I yearn for. Maybe I should move, that I prefer warmer climes. People think their uncle who operates heavy equipment well has overall smarts on par with a thoracic surgeon. Can that doctor cut the switchback? No, but 125 other guys in your county can. Even if it takes a year to train someone on bulldozer, that doctor has about 16 years of school, featuring ever-increasing difficulty. The equipment op got C's in high school and dropped his community college plans because who needs algebra? Rednecks. How so many people misconstrue even the slightest criticism as hatred. I talk shit because I want my country to do better. Because I know it can do better. There's an entire internet community of mouth breathers dedicated to getting together and shitting their pants whenever someone says something bad about greatest country on earth. It's fucking pathetic. In for W to because it was 80 fucking years ago. Corruption of the highest order. I'm Nigerian. Given the amount of wealth, resources, natural and human we have in this country, we shouldn't be where we are in terms of development and living conditions generally. But the level of corruption that exists is setting us back. And it's sad. If I can change one thing about this country with the snap of a finger, it'll definitely be the corrupt leaders. The value and pressure we put on having to work. You want a 1-month break after quitting a job. You are lazy. 8 a.m. 5 p.m. work hours. Normal, and if you complain you are lazy and dramatic. You refuse a job because of bad conditions, treatment, etc. You are lazy and rather should work at this than having no job. You complain about your job. Quit crying, it's always been like that. Germany. Above this post was a post from my country's sub about farmers threatening to bust open the police station to free their arrested farmer buddies arrested for violent protests. Also, one of the new heads of the bigger parties announced something about being harder on protests, but making significant hints that she meant Extinction Rebellion and the like. Explanation for the fact that housing is scarce and unaffordable for some of the highest paid people in the world, and that something like half of the nation's population is concentrated in 2 cities. Almost no nature to speak of. You can't really go into the woods and camp there or go on multi-day hikes. It's incredibly hard to detach from society and find seclusion in a cabin or something. Every area is claimed, regulated and taken care of and under surveillance. You can't go by Len and make it in nature. Os they parrot all the right-wing talking points that come out of America. I'm worried about the negative influence it is now having over people who don't know much about politics within my country. Putting billboard advertisement up in beautiful forest scenes, general countryside settings. This might not bother anyone else, and there are worse things, but this one springs to mind. I don't need to be sold laundry detergent when I'm on the road and enjoying some scenery time. We can't really be neutral because we have the lasting duty to make up the mistakes of WW1 and W2 to everyone in the world because everyone of my country is guilty, even years and generations later. Wonderful people in my country, the only two that have a realistic hope of leading it are a senile old man who can't string 2 sentences together and have them be part of the same conversation, or the other one. The amount of veterans who insist that they fought for our rights, but can't seem to wrap their head around the exercising of those rights, like kneeling for the anthem or being critical of the country. The youth crime in Australia. Just last week a grandmother was stabbed and died from her injuries because the youths wanted to steal her car. The justice system isn't very tough when it comes to juvenile perpetrators. Telecom mafia, grocery mafia, and conservative leaders in general ruining everything via profiteering and privatization by distracting their supporters with hatred of others. Guess the country. Corrupt warmongering boomers in charge. poor and brainwashed boomers and Xers supporting them. This country has a chance for a better future only once millennials become the oldest generation. Everything Russia, especially that gov don't need educated people and they destroyed the education system. And it like Russia is gonna be China's or the US puppet in 20 years. For Putin. In America, it's quite difficult to find a restaurant that serves ortolan bunting properly prepared at a reasonable price, especially if you're feeling a bit peckish after midnight. The UK allowing illegal immigrants to overrun the country and overexert the system in place for citizens, causing crime levels to rise along with cost of living. How horrendous the bureaucracy is. Everything is unnecessarily complicated and takes forever. Somehow every attempt to improve it makes it worse. Germany. Our geographic isolation, world famous in New Zealand, is a funny slogan for a brand of local fizzy drink soda, but it's not particularly far-reaching. Italy. Economic stagnation. Only Euro area country where real wages have gone down since 2000. Also traffic, tax evasion and lack of respect for rules, bad roads, corruption, insecurity, little to no electricity, no ease doing business, poor and slow response to emergencies, religious extremists. We're pretty content here in Canada. What I hate about this country is Australia is getting like Iwo Jima class troop carriers and we're not. Conspiracy theories are on the rise. I'm open to conspiracy theories being true. That mentality will drive you crazy and lose brain cells. My country never gets any rain shower. The whole year is basically sunny, except in the months of December to March PTW. So damn cold, UAE. Sport there's just too much, and the culture behind it is super toxic. Also the bogans with mullets. Some of them are dickheads. Australia. The huge unemployed youth population combined with one of the cheapest internets in the world makes for a very interesting combination. Paris. And its government. Believe it or not, France is a very divided country. But when it comes to Parisians, everyone hates them. There's so many underlying issues nobody seems to address. Had I go with that, I am in it. Czech is awful, but me being here is worst. Canada is too expensive and too spread out, making travel between cities difficult if you don't have a car or can't afford gas. We adapt too easily. And that's why politicians keep putting out the most horrendous policies. Course they know we won't do anything. It's not supposed to be an aristocracy, but it practically is anyway since everyone is conditioned into following the money. Houses are expensive AF. I already know I'm never going to be able to afford a house if nothing changes. Luxembourg. Extreme political polarization that makes our government make poor choices just for one-upmanship over the opposition. Nazis. Edit to clarify all guesses it's Germany. But of course right-wing extremists are a thing in many countries. Kids, young teenagers are absolutely feral. I don't know what it is. I was a piece of a shit when I was younger too. Lot of countries in same boat as mine. Just how much it costs to live. And not even a special life, just existing. Everything except for nature, and a couple of cool, but absolutely insignificant on a global scale things. Russia, that we already are the Americans of Europe, and our society is Americanizing more and more. Guess which country? We elect the elderly with dementia to run our nation, knowing full well he can barely string sentences together. People here barely have awareness of everything Vietnam and whataboutism and censorship, and the list goes on. The bland food, the bigotry and the corruption in the government, which is seemingly baked in at this point. Our collective insistence that brighter headlights are safer and our collective tolerance for that bullshit. Politicization of governmental institutions for point-making between ruling party and opposition. There could be more houses, I guess. But that would piss off the homeowners. So I don't know. Too big population for the size of the country, and too much govs and regulations. Belgium. We have next to no nature. Our wild spaces aren't really all that wild. The Netherlands. The corruption, it's everywhere. Also, the fact that we have limited electricity. The way people stare. It's something I will never get or be used to. I hate it. Ulmo. The UK tabloids and the people stupid enough to believe the bullshit they publish. The rampant political corruption and social inequality, and that we had apartheid. The UV index is always high to extreme, and I get sick of applying sunscreen sigh. 6 governments and none of them are anything more than nepotistic placeholders. The sheer heat in the summer, and the stupid stereotypes surrounding my country. It is the only country in the world where school shootings regularly happen. The politics and corruption, also population and the fucking education system. Everything is about picking a side in politics and not working together. Healthcare system. Prices of health-related things is obscene. USA. British snobbery. It's still everywhere. So depressing and backward. In our country, it is dangerous writing about that on the internet. A national character that cares too much about what others think. How we manage to put the biggest racists we have into power. The USA is a fucking lie. It's just a fucking corporation. Nothing. My country is the greatest country in the world. Thank you, bureaucracy, for road taxes. What a great idea. People living in the capital city. Fuckers, all of them. Poor, and the people are narcissistic as shit. Ukraine. That gays aren't allowed to get married to each other. Men of my country. I mean, everything else is fixable. From where to begin, there's just too many things. As German, I really dislike the weather here at times. The grey and rain of the UK. Absolutely despise it. Perceive freedom when really the struggle is real.